So, hi everyone, I'm Jackie. Tonight's sequence is a little bit of a legs and hips. So, for those of you that may have been doing some running or gardening or just, we haven't touched on the legs too much recently, so I thought we'd give them a little bit of a treat, a bit of a massage. So we are going to do some low lunge stuff, so you might want some blankets or cushions for underneath the knees. And just get into those dominant quads, hamstring and calf muscles with some lovely poses for you today. So if you have got a bolster, it's really nice to open up the hips a little bit by reclining back on it. If you haven't got a bolster, you can just lie back on the floor and just take the knees, if you feel comfortable, in the lower back out to the side. Remember, if you're reclining back, there is a little bit of a arching in the back going on, a bit of a back extension, so pad up if you need to, make your bolster a bit higher, and that will make it a little bit more restorative. So you could also place 2 blocks under the thighs if you feel they're too active, or 2 of your Pilates balls would work as well. So as we take a moment or two just to come into the body, because if we dash into our practice like we may have done all day long, then we may kind of miss something that's needing our attention, or we may feel that sometimes we're pushing a bit too much. That competitive side may be coming out. So we're going to try and leave that to one side and just come into a bit of kindness, a bit of stillness, nurturing in a bit of rest and restore. So as you take a moment or two just to come into the breath, noticing that natural rhythm in and out through the nose, that gentle expansion, contraction. Again, if the mind is still wandering, and I invite you just to maybe count your breaths. So 3, 4, 5 or 6, maybe you're working on a 6 count breath in, and slow, same count breath out. If it's getting too much with the knees apart, then just bring the knees together and point the knees inwards if there's any back issues.
Recording in
Couple more breaths here, slowing everything down, just coming into that inner landscape, noticing how the body is responding. And then when you're ready in your own time, you're slowly going to come up. Just slowly bring yourself up. And the option here is just to counter pose and just to round down just gently into a butterfly, just a short release. Then you can come to your rebound, which might be just a sitting, it might be a lying flat on your back. If your bolster's out of the way, just maybe lie onto the side. We're going to use the bolster again in a little while. And just take that rebound, maybe just by reclining back and going forward, you already felt the spine. So just taking that reset. Remember, our yin practice is just switching off from the busyness, helping that chi energy just to rebalance, to massage into those deeper layers. And then when you're ready, you can just hug your knees into chest. So if you haven't done saddle pose before or half saddle pose, I'm going to show you all the variations. Again, if there's any injuries or anything that I should know about, then please drop me a message in the messenger. So for this one, this is why I said earlier that a bolster on a couple of books or blocks would be really good. If you didn't have this, then you could go next to your couch and lie back on your couch. So we're going to get into this main strip of the legs. There is a bit of a back bend in here as well. So there's a few options. We can swing the leg round, and what you might find is that the knees come wide or they tuck right in. It just depends on if you internally rotate naturally in your bone structure, or like me, I externally rotate. So I have to have my heel tucked right in next to my buttocks, but your leg might be out to the side. Now you can relax or point the toe. That doesn't matter what the toe's doing. Yeah, the idea is that you're going to nuzzle up next to your bolster or next to the couch if you have one. Now, some of you don't need a bolster. Some of you in your natural bone variation, or you can actually do this without anything behind you and just stay here. This might be enough for you today. To support what's happening with this front hip here, you can bend the back leg. You can take a half butterfly where the leg goes out to the side, or you can extend it along. So this one's a little bit tricky to get into. And then, like I said, you might just stay here. Another variation is just to have a few cushions and just to rest your elbows, because you're not going to be able to go back because your lower back won't allow you to do that. So that's the target area. That hip flexor, those big main dominant quads. And if you are going back with the bolster long ways, then there will be a little bit of a lumbar spine opening as well. So again, taking your time, making adjustments, and once you, if you do lie back, now bear in mind this lying back pose, part of it took me about 3 years, so do not push the body, that's the most important thing. And if you felt your core engaged, if you went back, that's quite normal, that's just the body protecting you at your back. And then once you settle, then just try to release and relax the belly muscles. We want the blood flow to go into the target areas, which would be lower back and thighs if we're leaning back, or just thighs if we're sitting up. So it's quite nice to get into these. Maybe you're doing more walking, maybe you've even started a bit of a challenge, so you're doing lots of weights or lunges or squats, maybe a bit of golf or even cycling, maybe you're getting outside. The other thing that you might notice at your knee, there's a massive gap, there's nowhere near the floor. Mine was like that for a long time. So you could just also pad up and place something under the knee as well. So there's lots of variations for this one. Once you get into a position that feels comfortable, then just try to rest there. Let the body just do what it needs to do. And the long, slow, soothing hold. Start to come away from the more yang muscle groups. And it helps the body just send the lubrication, that chi, blood, fluids, water, proteins into the deeper layers. Now after a while, you could take the bolster away and lie your back completely back. But for me, that just doesn't feel good for my skeletal variation in my lower back. But the option is always there if it feels good for you. And maybe sending the breath down to the belly, into that what we call lower dantian, filling up our energy bank. A few more breaths on this side. Now to come out, if you did recline back, again there may be a tiny core engagement, chin to chest. You're going to feel a bit stiff coming up, so do take your time. Now you might kind of get halfway up and that knee starts to talk to you, and you might need to bring that leg in and give it a really lovely massage up and down, front of the shin, behind the kneecap and over the kneecap again. That should feel quite nice. You might even feel very stiff and tight in that leg now, and just pitter-patter. And then just slowly turn the toes side to side, just opening up the legs a bit. And then we'll try the same thing on the other side. So again, grab everything that you might need. That extra blanket's going to be very useful here. And slowly bring the leg round. So you could have quite a gap between knees, or naturally yours might go quite close. It's just depending on how this is feeling. So make your adjustments. Make sure that the back foot as well is not on a hard floor, because that will just put you off as well. Good. And again, just take your time. This side might be, a little tighter. Maybe the leg needs to be up, just to allow that back leg now just to internally rotate. The hip will turn inwards. You could try butterfly, where the leg goes out to the side, or just straighten it out. Then don't tense this extended leg that you're not working on. Take your time. Gently, gently. Find your first sort of edge and then just hang out there. Also getting a bit of an extra, if you've got a nice seated bolster, they're quite nice. You might be getting a nice sort of compression in the back of the head and down through the vertebrae, either side of the spine as well. Just using that kind of compression work, that massage. Again, just finding that spot where it's not too much or too little. Breathing into the belly. Now, if you notice that your foot's gone a bit pins and needly, just change the foot in the way that it is. If you have it pointed, then just flex it. Just see if that helps. Might also give you slightly different sensation down this front thigh, this hip flexor area as well. Working a little bit into a bit of the sartorius, which is one of the longest muscles in the body. Comes all the way up from the hip down at the medial part of the knee and round. Now, if you are feeling not much on this side, you could try both together. This is a little bit more stronger, and for some of you may not be very, very ideal if there's any back issues, but you could give it a go. no pain in the knees. The hips should be turning inwards. Enjoy a few more breaths here. Ready, you'll slowly make your exit out. Again, tiny core engagement, maybe just to get yourself up. You can swing the leg round, you can do a soft down dog. You can massage that back leg. You can pitter patter, whatever feels good. And then remove your bolster out of the way, or pillows out of the way now. You're going to need a lovely strong reset now that after that. You can have a blanket under your head just because that feels nice, and then just slowly, it will feel achy, cracky, poppy. That's quite normal. And the rebound is kind of the most important bit. It's allowing the body to do what it naturally is designed to do, to reset us, to realign us. Now, how long you stay in rebound is really dependent on how strong that was for you. If you're still feeling strong sensations, achiness, then you need to stay here a bit longer. If all that has subsided, there's not much happening now, then you're ready to maybe hug the knees in and take a little massage side to side. We're then going to roll onto our sides and slowly bring ourselves up. So, lunges, I don't often do these, but they're very good for us. So you're going to definitely want some padding under the back knee and maybe a couple of pillows to lean into. So this is our kind of dragon sequence. If you had a bolster, that would work because you could lean down on the bolster and you could place a couple of blocks underneath or a couple of pillows. So all we're going to do is we're going to take one leg forward into a low lunge position. And you'll see what I mean. If you're leaning down too much and this is difficult, then just pad up your brick blocks that you've got there, Linda. You can just have them right next to you and you can use a couple of your blocks. That would be quite beneficial just to rest your hands onto, really. Or, yeah, Catherine, like you, the 2 blocks either side's quite a nice option. So as we gently slide in, we're going to just slowly go in. For some of you, you may be quite upright for some time because this is quite a deep into those hips and hip flexors, which starts up about here and goes all the way down. So again, take your time. Another option, if you had a bolster, is you could actually lean your elbows on the bolster, and that's a nice option as well. So whatever you have to hand, we can make it work. Again, try to relax the back toes, back legs. You might even lean down, but that may not be for you today. It's quite an intense one, this one. Gently opening into the tissues. And the tendency is to push a bit too quickly, too deep, and then you can't stay there. So what you might find is just by coming up and backing off slightly will make it a bit more durable. You can last the distance, as one would say. Again, come back to the breath. That will kind of distract you a little bit from this pose. I know it's not probably one of my favorites, this one, but it's doing lots and lots of good. It's really going to help my tension in hips, front of thighs. Just generally, just give that a bit of an opening. Again, if you foam rolled the front thighs going up to hip flexor, this is probably a nicer one to do instead of foam rolling. Now you can add a few options here. You can actually turn on the side of the foot, let me show you, and turn it out. So you can bring the front foot and just turn and look up your back shoulder. That's another option as well. And that will just open up that front hip a little bit more. You might only be able to do this for 5-10 breaths. Just see if it feels good for you. Remember, there's no kind of destination. We're just being very playful, gently exploring how the body is responding with those moments of stillness. Asking ourselves, is this too much, too little, just right? More breaths here. And then gently in your own time, slowly bring the legs back to sit. Oh, they're going to feel dead stiff. You're probably going to want to stretch your leg back into kind of like a half split. Hold there for a few breaths. You could even stretch that front leg back behind you because the knee as well just might want an opening, and just stretch the leg behind. Take your time. And then we'll do all that lovely magic stuff on the other side. So slowly get everything prepared. Now, swapping legs, and then gently start the whole process. Now, when we do left and right, the tendency is to want to get to where you just were. So try and avoid doing that. Just start the whole process on this side again. Take your time. You'll notice that the hip wants to shift forward. Try just to keep the hips parallel and neutral. Good. Again, just see how it feels. Where does the body want to take you? Maybe you're shifting to the left a bit, to the right a bit. Maybe that back knee is really appreciating that massage, that compression work. Again, just feeling into it. Again, you can turn the knee out and look up the shoulder just to add a slightly different dimension to it. Or if you're happy where you are, then just stay there. So I'm just gently using the same hand as the front leg and just gently pushing the knee out, turning on the outer edge of that foot. And just checking in, backing off slightly if you're just feeling it's getting too intense. breaths. If the knee is slightly out, gently bring it back. And then just gently, gently start to make your way back. Slowly does it. Stretch maybe just back slightly, that half split position. Lovely. You're going to want to now just gently bring that leg in, maybe release it back behind you. That's quite a nice option as well. And then just roll everything out of the way, ready for a nice rebound. Remember, rebound could be standing up, child's pose, or just easy pose sitting. But I find that one was very strong. That's it, Catherine, all the way down. Oh. Yeah, we probably don't realise how stiff this area gets until we start working on it. Gently hug the knees in again, just take that little release, a little massage. Now we're going to come into a bit of a forward fold, which is called caterpillar. So there is a rounding of the spine, so if you need some support for the lower back, you might want to just sit on a cushion or a blanket just to give you a little bit of a tilt to help out. The bolsters are good because they kind of give you a nice compression here and they sort of push your legs down. If you're really tight in the hamstrings, then just grab a bed cushion and place it under the knees, and we'll slowly make a slow descent down. And after a while, the legs could be extended. So it's the back of the legs and the thighs that we're aiming to go to. But this is the area that needs to let go a little bit as well as the back of the legs. So take your time. Lots of options here. You can bring a pillow or a bolster or even 2 blocks on your thighs so you can rest your head. So the thigh option or the block option, and you could rest your elbows. That's quite a nice intro to this. The important thing is now that you're not tensing your toes up to the sky. Let them fall in or fall out, because it depends how your hip orientation is. We want the legs to get the feel, don't tense the toes. So in your own time, muscle left and muscle right, and just find the first bit. If you're really struggling with lower back, then keep the spine still extended and don't force the round. That may take, up to the end of the 5 minutes to even round yourself down. Depends on how flexible you are in the hamstrings and obviously in the back. So as you settle in, take your time, come back to the breath. And then if you can, just remind yourself to soften the belly muscles. You don't need them to protect the back. We're going to be nourishing in, up and down that spine. So very much the kidney meridian here. So from the feet all the way up the back of the legs into that lumbar spine area is our kidneys, where our jing is stored. Checking in, if not much is happening, you can edge in an inch or 2. And just checking in, and tensing toes and tensing belly. With each exhale, give yourself permission to surrender, to let go. And 10 more breaths here. Feeling into it. How is this feeling? And then slowly, to make your exit out, don't rush up, keep your chin tucked in and peel yourself up from the lower vertebrae, stacking the spine one vertebrae at a time. Slowly, slowly peeling yourself up. It's going to feel stiff, it's going to feel achy, that's quite normal. You might just hold at the top, let the spine catch up and all those receptors, and then you might just move everything out of the way and you might take a counter pose, just leaning back and just slowly opening up. And then gently release. You might even want to do a window wipe, slide the legs in and slowly bring one knee across and bring the other knee across to meet it. Take your rebound again. You could just sit up, you could lie down, you could take child's pose or even stand up. Good. Once you again feel you've reset, when you're ready, meeting me in that sitting position, we're going to take dragonfly now, which is the groin. So we're going to come with the legs out. Now you might again want to, because it's a bit of a forward fold again, sit back on that cushion and stretch your legs. Now it doesn't matter how wide your legs are, they can be quite narrow. The target area is the inner thigh, so very much the wood element going into gallbladder and liver. And again, you can have your blocks in front of you to rest your hands or your elbows on. And the idea is that we'll gently lean forward for a few breaths and then we'll add a nice little side in a moment. So it's up to you. See how that feels for you. Try not to again tense the toes. Relax the toes. We want to tense. Remember, we're not doing hatha yoga. Relax the feet. Turn them in or turn them out. Take your time. Remember, if the lower back still is not feeling too good, then just stay upright. See how that feels for you. Remember, the most important thing is that it's feeling nourishing for you. And every day our bodies are changing and need something different. So we just go into it like a curious child. How is this feeling in my body? What sensations are arising? Again, checking in, have we drank enough water today? Have we nourished ourselves with healthy foods? Have we slept for long enough? All of these things really help with the healthiness of the fascia, those connective tissues. Again, inch by inch, creeping in, just exploring. Remember, it's not about how flexible you are or how wide the legs are. Can you feel something? It's not too much or too little. And then gently roll yourself up, and we're going to add in a little bit of that QL muscle by leaning to one side, taking the arm over or resting it behind the head. The option is to grab a pillow and place your elbow down and just support the head. So you don't even have to lift the arm. You might just by wrapping it behind you feel that stretch along the side ribs. Quite a hard area to target, and this one does that very well. Again, just seeing how that feels. Breathing into the rib area, taking those nice deep breaths in and out. And then we'll gently come to center, re-stack the spine. Probably feels very creaky as well, and then gently come to the other side. So again, rest the elbow, option reach the arm. If that feels too yang, keeping the arm up, you can support it behind the head, or you can just wrap the arm behind to get a little bit of upper shoulder, top chest. More breaths here. Then gently, slowly lift yourself up. Again, it's going to feel quite stiff. You might want to do a little rebound, lean back, bring the knees in, and take your rebound. We're coming down into Savasana anyway, so you might as well lie back onto your back. Take that nice reset. You can pop a little blanket over you. And then just take a moment or two as we feel the breath entering in through the nose. Noticing the rise and fall of the navel. We can inhale, bring the feeling of peace and calm. And exhale any last remaining bit of tension, knot or restriction. Take a nice deep breath in. That feeling of serenity. And as we exhale, let go of any fear, any worry, any concerns. As we inhale, let that feeling of calm, relaxation wash up all the way up through the toes, legs, abdomen, arms, and out through the head. And as we exhale, feel the body, the blueprint of the body imprinting into Mother Earth. She's kind of giving you a bit of a hug now. Letting go of what's no longer serving you. Bring to mind now an affirmation, something positive, could be a prayer. Placing your right hand on heart and left hand on your lower belly. So we're going to send it out there to the universe. Maybe it's just a feeling of love, abundance, or just gratitude. Repeating it now 3 times. And then when you're ready, just start to notice any sounds outside. Start to bring your awareness into the room now. Back to the body, a little wiggle of toes, fingers. As you inhale, maybe a big stretch overhead, a big yawn, a big sigh, whatever's needed. Honor that. And then when you're ready, gently hugging the knees in one by one, circle ankle if you like, nurture in. Just know that you've given yourself some really yummy yin time this evening or on the catch up, just to nurture in. You can roll onto your side. You can gently roll up. Now you may want to stay here for a while if you're feeling open and spacious for a bit of meditation time, then that's fine. Maybe even a gratitude list to finish off your practice is a wonderful thing to do as well. Or a bit of journaling, just jot down anything that comes to mind for 1 or 2 or maybe 3 pages. Blessings to you all. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you